Today's video, we're going to be discussing two bills that your legislation is trying to pass that actually will hinder you as a prepper, as someone who wants to live sustainable. We'll also talk about Trump's victory last night and why I believe that it happened. But not only that, the scary thing of what most people are saying and who they're blaming it on. Also, there's some startling research coming out of those polls, exit polls, that shows us maybe what our country may be looking at in the coming years. Let's jump into these stories today. I think these will be helpful to you, but more than that, I hope that you can be more prepared, get more common sense, and gain wisdom from what we talk about. Today's video starts right now.
If I close my eyes and think about us, I can see the person I know I should be. 'Cause honestly, I don't have no time to waste. I'm trying to come back to you.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max today. As you can see, we had a beautiful morning. However, it's so cold that my camera is starting to struggle in the coldness, so we're having to film in the vehicle. So sorry about your scenery. It's not nearly as pretty as it usually is. So let's jump into today's content. Remember, if you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but let us know what you think about the video, because it helps us as a community to grow together, to be better together, and to gain more wisdom as we try to navigate this world. Now let's talk about the stories of the day. First, we'll jump into the Iowa caucus and the scary things that came out of that, the good things that came out of that, and then we'll move on to some other stories that affect you. So Trump won in a landslide, actually the biggest win, the quickest win, and the biggest margin that we have ever seen in the Iowa caucus. That's what the stories show. Here's the scary thing. Two mainstream commentators, Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid, both working, of course, for MSNBC. However, both of them are blaming basically radicals, quote-unquote radicals, and quote-unquote white Christians. Now, the scary thing is you're seeing pushes towards persecution of a people group, but also a religion. Now, if we would have said this about any other group, those people would be ostracized and probably kicked off a network. But because they're talking about conservatives or Christians or whites, then it seems like it's okay. They're saying the reason he won is because of all that conservative Christian movement that should be downplayed. I mean, they really pushed on the fact that really they're almost a degraded group of people like us, the white Christian conservative male. And I think that that's scary, because when we start seeing this on national broadcasting, that you can talk about people groups, you can talk about certain colors, you can talk about certain religions. However, you're not ostracized. You're actually almost condoned because the network didn't stop it. The people that was sitting alongside these two commentators just let it go. That's scary. Good that Trump won. Good that we were overwhelmingly showing that, as a party, we're pretty much in majority, and we pretty much believe that Trump should be the leader of the party, because, again, like I said yesterday, it's almost his to lose, and I believe he's got it. If he wants it, it's his. I think that proved it last night with Iowa. It's going to prove it New Hampshire. Super Tuesday is looking huge for Trump, so I think that he's pretty much going to win it. But if they start turning this towards a white Christian movement, and they start blaming Christians for this, I believe you're going to start seeing more persecution on Christians, and I don't think that's a good thing, especially when they're talking about it on national media. Another two good things that came out of it, I like Vivek. I told you this before. I think there's some things that are people don't know about Vivek, and I understand that, but I do think it's great that he came alongside Trump and supported him. I think that helps coalesce, like we talked about yesterday. Seeing that movement come together is going to be better. I'd love to see DeSantis do the exact same thing, and even RFK. But we'll hold our breath on those two. Distant second, nowhere near DeSantis. DeSantis, as a conservative and the one that's supposed to be the Christian brand of the Republican Party, the more conservative than Trump is what is what they try to push as, really did not do well. Nikki Haley, the best news of the night, she got third. I think that's great, because to be honest with you, the only better news for that would have been her just be last. But to be honest with you, I'm glad that she got third and DeSantis at least got second. Now let's jump on to some other things. That was some good news for Trump. I love the fact that Vivek came along and supported Trump. But the scary thing is the movement of what they're doing with trying to push the narrative that the white Christian is the one to blame for it. That's a little scary. I don't like that tone, and I think that's going to cause persecution. Also, another thing that came out of that was 68% of people said that Biden was not legitimate. That is huge. That's around what his approval ratings are at 32%, 68% pretty much opposing it, but 68% of Iowa was saying it's illegitimate. So I believe that's going to play in Trump's favor across the board as you start seeing these local state caucuses or polling or elections for the primaries. The two policies you need to keep out your eye on, and these are trying to get passed in the Senate and the Congress, and what they are is, one is you have a Democratic senator pushing to allow people not to have paramilitary. Now that sounds like big terms, but what they're actually talking about is you have no rights to do any kind of militia or form a group. You think about homesteading groups, prepping groups, community organizing groups. It's amazing that they're kind of hinting towards, hey, you can't start a militia. However, that was part of the movement of freedom back in the Revolutionary and part of America. It's what the National Guard and the State Guards were based upon. They said they're going to write up exceptions for the National Guard, State Guards, but not for individual groups. So it's amazing that, again, your right to bear arms and the right to militia is getting taken away from you based on what Democrats are pushing. Also, a Democrat and Republican are pushing this credit card bill. Dick Durbin is heading it, but what it does is, here's the thing. They talk about credit card bill and how it's safe for the credit cards, and they're trying to protect you. What it's actually doing, read the bill. What it's actually doing is taking the rights away from small community banks, and the rights away from credit unions to be able to issue credit cards. They want only the big banks, the big players, to be able to issue debt. Right now, people are living on debt. It's wrong. We just crossed over consumer debt of $5 trillion, and most of that's based on credit cards. I don't like credit cards. You shouldn't be using them. However, if they take the credit card use away from local banks, away from community banks, away from family-owned banks, or away from credit unions, then it's going to move those banks to shutter and really struggle to then everything is going to be moved to a national-style bank or these bigger banks that have bigger plays in the government and bigger plays in your politicians' pockets. So this is scary. Don't trust people like Dick Durbin. Don't trust there's a Republican senator signing on to that too, I think from Kansas. And then again, with this policy of no militia, both of those are very, very bad for people who prep, people who want to live sustainable, people who want, cash is king, wants their banks to be local, wants to do business local. You're starting to see a nationalist, globalist push away from protecting you. Goes back to the first story again. Battle against the white Christian. It's their fault. This is some scary terminology that you're starting to see, and some scary policies that are passing or needing to be passed. The sad thing is, you're like, well, they won't be passed. The sad thing is that your elected officials are bringing these to the floor for votes. They should have never come up. This is what's really hard to, this is a hard pill to swallow for me, because I'm thinking there's a Republican that signed on to this. A Republican signed on to this to hurt your community bank and credit union. It shows that politicians are bought off. If they could not get side money or inside information or lobbyist money, I believe you'd have true, honest politicians, and you put them on term limits, and I believe we'd see our nation really move in a strong way. But until then, they're all sellouts. Another story, and if you've watched Tucker Carlson with Dennis Quaid interview, he kind of mentioned it the other day, but if you start looking at the data, we are actually in a guarantee of 99.9% chance of a solar flare or a massive solar event, meaning we could see an EMP style setback to our grids. Our grids are already fragile. We don't have enough battery capability or alternative energy to get it back on site. It shows that most of these private entities that own your energy, these cooperatives, to be honest with you, most of them are monopolized, and they take advantage of you because they don't want to add anything to their grid. There's no competition, but I digress. The bad thing is they're not investing in their grid to withstand some of the pressures of these gamma rays and a solar flare or an EMP if it happened. If that happens, they said it would take over a year to get some of these grids back up and running. Do you know how crazy time would be without a grid and without people having electricity and having the conveniences? There was a comment made the other day, and it was on Mike Glover. He said, the more that we have technology, the more we rely on that technology, the less we rely on building skills. So I challenge you to start gaining some skills back. We're going to be doing a video on 10 skills that you should have to prepare you for a grid down scenario. It will be coming out, I think, tomorrow. But please pay attention to this. This is a big deal. And if you see that, you know, we're over 100 years. They say it happens about every 100 years. We're about 150 years into this thing. If all of a sudden a solar flare happened, or some kind of geothermal event, or an EMP happened, are you ready for that? Because that could be severe for your community, for your city. And if you're not prepping and taking care of your family, catastrophic. And last story of the day, ending with a WEF story that the World Economic Forum and Klaus invited, formal invitation to the Iranian foreign minister who supports Hamas, who's against the state of Israel, and who is wanting to see war. And again, they're actually funding. Iran is actually funding Hamas, Hezbollah, and also the Houthi that we're bombing, and they just took over a cargo ship and bombed it the other day. But the WEF, which is going to have a lot of our politicians in it, a lot of our politicians there, a lot of our politicians we paid for to go, which is stupid, they're going to host the Iranian foreign minister to be part of this. That's some backdoor stuff happening right there, people. And again, why do we trust these people to do anything and to lead us anyway? Bill Gates came out and said that their foundation will give more money to the WEF than ever before. Record giving and donations will be given to the WEF this year because they want to regain, quote-unquote, trust there. Scary, scary times. All right, ending the day. What it means is if you're a conservative Christian and you are someone who lives to try to prep and be sustainable and loves shopping local, using your local banks and credit unions, pretty much you're the target of everything. So therefore, be prepared. Take care of your family and understand the value of sustainability. It's not about wearing a tinfoil hat, but it's about saying, you know what? If a grid down scenario happens, or the fact that, you know, Trump or a conservative wins and then they blame white Christian conservatives and their anger and retribution, that's terminology for persecution. So be careful and make sure that these people are getting held to the fire, but they're not. They're actually getting condoned, they're getting applauded, and that is some scary, scary stuff. Don't trust anything coming out of the World Economic Forum because all it's doing is controlling you or wanting to control you. There's agendas happening all over. And I think the best hope is the pendulum to swing. And for people like us that want freedom, that wants liberty, especially people that are Christian and that just wants to live in peace with their family, times are going to get tougher. And I hope that you're prepared. Guys, let me know what you think about this video. Again, our goal is to prep and to stay as aware as possible. Tomorrow's video about skills, 10 skills that you should have because of a grid down scenario. If it happens, are you ready? Let's talk about it tomorrow. Check that out. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, remember, go down here, leave a comment below. Tell us what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up. It means the world to me. And we thank you for watching. God bless. Happy homestead, y'all.